The world hasn't been this close to Cold War flashpoints in decades. Now, with 150 Russian warships and 120 fighter jets mobilizing near British waters, and U.S. nuclear weapons quietly returning to UK soil, the specter of nuclear escalation isn't just theoretical, it's at our doorstep. Is the United Kingdom becoming the front line of a 21st century superpower showdown? This week's developments mark a dramatic escalation in military posturing between NATO and Russia. As the U.S. discreetly transfers nuclear-capable assets to RAF Lakenheath in eastern England, Russian President Vladimir Putin has responded with overwhelming force, deploying a naval armada and air fleet in a rare show of strength near British territorial zones. This summary explores the historical context, strategic implications, diplomatic signals, and potential consequences of a NATO-Russia face-off shifting toward the British Isles, according to credible defense leaks and corroborated by investigative sources. The U.S. Air Force is reactivating nuclear storage infrastructure at RAF Lakenheath, a former Cold War site where nuclear bombs were stored during the 1980s. Satellite imagery and procurement documents hint at facility upgrades, security reinforcements, and operational shifts, all suggesting the arrival of B-61-12 tactical nuclear warheads, capable of variable yields and precision targeting. This move, while officially unconfirmed, aligns with NATO's broader deterrence agenda as tensions rise over Ukraine, the Baltic states, and now the Arctic. Analysts believe it's also a message to Russia. Any attack on NATO territory, particularly the UK, will be met with a credible nuclear counterforce. Yet, critics warn that this deployment dangerously shortens the launch decision timeline and increases the risk of accidental or preemptive escalation. For many in the UK, this reawakens old fears of being caught between two nuclear giants. It also underscores Britain's strategic importance as both a launchpad and a target. Russia's reaction has been swift and expansive. In what the Kremlin describes as a planned readiness drill, Moscow has ordered over 150 warships and 120 fighter jets into active deployment zones around the North Sea, Arctic waterways, and near UK air defense identification zones. Included in the flotilla are submarine hunting destroyers, missile cruisers, and even nuclear-powered submarines capable of launching cruise missiles. This is one of Russia's largest naval mobilizations since the Cold War. Strategic analysts argue it's more than a drill, it's a signal. With Sweden and Finland now part of NATO and British forces increasing Arctic patrols, Putin is pushing back hard against what he sees as encroachment. Military aviation around Scotland and the Irish Sea has also picked up, prompting multiple British RAF intercepts in the past week. This level of Russian military presence, especially so close to NATO's western flank, represents a calculated show of force, aimed at deterring further Western reinforcement and testing NATO's red lines. The geopolitical fallout is already being felt. US-Russia backchannel talks have reportedly frozen, while the UK Parliament faces pressure to explain its role in escalating the conflict. British defense spending is spiking, with emergency talks scheduled among NATO members over strategic reinforcement and missile shield upgrades. Financial markets are reacting too. Defense stocks are up, while the British pound dips slightly on fears of regional instability. Europe's energy market, still recovering from Ukraine war disruptions, is jittery once again, especially as Russian warships cruise near critical underwater internet cables and gas pipelines in the North Sea. But perhaps the most profound impact is psychological. Civil defense inquiries have surged in the UK, with citizens asking about fallout shelters and evacuation procedures. Activists and nuclear disarmament groups are protesting outside RAF Lakenheath, reigniting debates over whether Britain should host US nukes at all. For many, this feels like the 1980s all over again, but with more firepower, less diplomacy, and faster launch capabilities. The U.S. first stationed nuclear bombs in the UK during the Cold War to counter Soviet threats. RAF Lakenheath was central to those operations. When the bombs were removed in 2008, it symbolized a shift away from battlefield nukes in Europe. That era is now over. Putin, for his part, sees NATO's encroachment and nuclear modernization as justification for aggressive readiness. His playbook is influenced by Russia's escalate to de-escalate doctrine, the idea that demonstrating nuclear capability early can force adversaries to back down. But that gamble works only if the West flinches. The world has seen how brinksmanship can misfire. With more actors, faster weapons, and hybrid warfare tactics, today's standoff carries greater unpredictability than its Cold War predecessor. What began as tit-for-tat support for Ukraine has evolved into a dangerous dance of nuclear posturing near Britain's shores. The reintroduction of U.S. nukes to the UK and Russia's unprecedented maritime and aerial mobilization suggests that the next major flashpoint may not be Kyiv but the Channel, the North Sea, or even central England. The question is no longer if this escalates but how fast, how far, and who blinks first.